through these lines I write. I keep it live cause I thrive. I might just blow your mind tonight. I'm so hyped, but it's no hype. From this height, it's direct hits on sight. I'm your type, lend me your ears to show you that there's something in me. I'm not giving up, I'm standing right here, holding these days hostage. And I'll make this my year. We turning fear into love, and the love's in the air. I love doing this cause nothing compares. Nothing can share that same type of feeling when you feeling them flares. They can't catch it, it's havoc. I rip to a tear, switch a scenario. My stereos, I leave them impaired. Variables start to change and they're all in my range. I just gotta grab it, it's all mathematics. Every step is drastic, I make it fantastic. I'm trying to take your breath away. Asthmatic.
This is live through the stereo. Go and let it blow, blow through the stereo. I'ma let them know through the stereo. Yo, here we go through the stereo, stereo. This is live through the stereo. Go and let it blow, blow through the stereo. I'ma let them know through the stereo. Yo, here we go through the stereo, stereo.
Yeah, just nod your head with it, so explicit and vivid. Every image is intricate, intimate. I put my all into it, no scrimmage and no rules. I'm a pro tool, hear my heartbeat, beat into the vocals. I'm so loco, lost my mind, oh no. It's ponderoso, dope, so no overdose, cause it's dope, yo. Man, this is house grown, mixed with some milestones. So I let the style flow down like the Dow Jones, bringing it with some foul tones, letting the crowd know we getting loud, so it's eardrum rudiments. Yeah, we bring it rude again. Move, little hooligan. Music for tuning in, full time to the 10. I'm on my clock like I told you. I'm doing this for dreams we pursuing.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Anti-Media Radio Show. Once again with your host, Nick Bernabe, here on UCY.tv. I'm really happy to be back with you, and I'm still alive here on Halloween night 2016, dressed up, sitting here in the Anti-Media studio as Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. I got like half and half face going on. Every kid that came to the door was like completely freaked out. They didn't even want candy because they figured, you know, if it's coming from Trump or Clinton, it's probably laced with something. You know, on that note, I was hearing about some reports of supposedly people handing out some candy-looking drugs on Halloween. I've been trying to find the houses that are putting those drugs out there because I want to go and make sure that, you know, these poor kids aren't, you know, winding up with these drugs, and that someone who can responsibly take care of them, like myself, you know, could go take care of those drugs for those people. So anyone listening tonight, if you know anyone handing out drugs on Halloween, that's not a good thing to be giving the kids. Send them over here to me and maybe Jake, and we can, you know, have a Halloween party here at the Anti-Media studio. Anyway, enough jokes. A lot of serious stuff to talk about tonight. I'm going to be joined by my panel. I believe DB is going to be calling in if he's done trick-or-treating. He may still be out trick-or-treating, I'm not sure. But I'm joined right now by our awesome special co-host, Jake Anderson. What's up, dude?
Hey, man. This is like, this week is the singularity of politics.
It's insane, isn't it? It's ridiculous.
I can't believe. I've been in shock since Friday. I cannot believe that happened. I can't believe that the FBI director came out. I mean, he must be working for Russia, clearly. I mean, but
I heard
wow.
It's on the KGB's payroll, even though the KGB doesn't exist anymore.
What a wrench to throw in there. I mean, just when this thing was like pretty much in the bag for them, you gotta imagine this has got to be something serious. Why in the hell would he make that announcement unless this were serious? I don't know.
Yeah, dude. You know, that kind of announcement this close to the election, it's to me. You know, there's plenty of speculation, and you know, here's the funny thing. And I was talking to some people a couple of days ago about this, and I was talking to this guy, older conservative dude, you know, and he's not a fan of Trump, but definitely not a fan of Clinton. But anyway, I was kind of talking to him about how, you know, for me as like a nonpartisan type of person, looking at this whole controversy from an objective kind of standpoint, at least when it comes to the reactions from both sides of the aisle from the FBI investigation, Looking back, I think it was back in July. I think when the FBI originally came out and said, "Okay, look, we're not going to charge Hillary Clinton." She messed up, and it was pretty bad what she did. And they went so far as to say that if it were anybody else or someone else would have done the same thing, they would have been charged. But we're still not going to charge her. At the time, it was the Republicans that were like, man, the FBI has been politicized. Obama told them not to do anything, and the Justice Department, blah, 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 blah. And, liberal bias and this, that, and the other thing. Fast forward to, what happened on Friday with this new FBI announcement that they're reopening the investigation. Now it's the Democrats that are like, the FBI is politicized. They're working in cahoots with the Republicans. I mean, I've seen, what's his name? God, who's that guy? Howard Dean. He actually said, man, it's sad to see James Comey coming down on the same side as Putin. I mean, basically inferring that the FBI is working with the Russians. I mean, he didn't say that exactly, but I mean, that's kind of what he was saying. I know, Jake, you were joking about that, but some of these people, which are pretty much surrogates for Hillary Clinton, are actually saying that stuff. There was another guy today that was also saying that. Let me pull up the article. What's this guy's name? Carville? I don't know his first name. Shit.
James Carville?
Yeah, James Carville is basically saying, and he was actually saying it's the KGB and it's the GOP and the FBI. They're all working together to go against Hillary Clinton. I mean, he's literally saying, the KGB. Let me see if I could pull this idiot's audio.
Hey, can I interject real quick and say at this point, if they're ardently supporting her still, that probably means that there's dirt on them involved with these rings or some other heinous shit. That's the only reason you're still on her boat.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these guys are, deeply in bed with the political machine, and who knows how long they've been working in cahoots with the corrupt political establishment. Let me see if I can get this audio to work here. Let's see.
So, James, we wait for the FBI to give clearance on what Hillary Clinton is saying there, and Democrats, they've criticized Director Comey. But if he had sat on information until after this election, and there was something there was really there, wouldn't he be accused of a cover-up?
But first of all, let's start again. He was acting in concert and coordination with the House Republicans. End of story. He gave the letter to him. They gave it to Fox News. Also, we have the extraordinary case of the KGB being involved in this race and selectively leaking things from the Clinton campaign.
So, yeah, this is James Carville. I mean, he's a big-time Democrat dude, and he's saying...
You never go full asshat.
Oh, man, it's just ridiculous. What were you saying, Jake?
I was just saying I used to like James Carville.
He's gone the way of Robert Reich and Sean King and all these other hacks.
Yeah.
Seriously, man, it's.
So I heard one strange rumor about there being something to do with the NYPD on this leak. DB, have you heard anything from the rumor mill on what the hell's going on? What the
yeah. Apparently, Wiener, aptly named, he's your typical abuser of teenage girls, which is bad enough. But I guess because of that behavior, he was deemed trustworthy enough because they had enough dirt on him that he was privy to some other parties and information. And the Lolita Express with the former CEO of whatever the hell that company is. Epstein. Yeah, Epstein. So, Bill went, and apparently it was just a thing that Bill went and, it was teenage girls. Well, no, it was apparently, children. And Hillary was involved, and Hillary was involved with children. And there's going to be immunity deals given because they want to cut the head off the snake. And they're going to do it, and people are going to trip out, and people are going to freak out, and the military is getting ready for that. They really are, because there's 50 million brainwashed idiots that are still supporting her, and they're going to go out and try to do stupid shit, and they need to be corralled.
Immunity deals for who?
Anyone underneath her, including Huma, just to get her done, just to get her locked away, get Bill locked away, get the Clinton Foundation shut down, get all the tentacles cut, the head from the tentacles, and then they'll go off the tentacles individually. But once the head's cut off, once this face of Soros and all these associated kingpins is taken down, they really, I mean, he's already exposed. I mean, people are already petitioning.
I had heard about I'd heard about the human trafficking thing. I didn't know that it had to do with Epstein.
Yeah, I mean, he's the facilitator. He was the blackmailer. And what happened was that Weiner, because he's an idiot, and because all these people are idiots and technically unsavvy, basically his laptop was taken in by the NYPD. They cracked into it, and they're like, "Oh crap! There is some heavy shit in here. There's literally no way we can. There's too many people that have seen this." And not only that, but I guess maybe somewhere deep down the NYPD maybe still has a heart and they're still human, unlike a federal government agency would be. Yeah. So now the NYPD has their own branch of the FBI, right? And they're heavily embedded with Clinton, and it's going to create an internal war, and it's going to bust all this shit out. There's no way they can stop it now.
This can't happen in a week. So she'll get elected, and then this will happen after she's elected.
Well, whatever way they want to play it for maximum benefit for them.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Yeah. I had heard that independently from somewhere. Obviously, these are unsubstantiated rumors. But where did you hear that?
This is just following down the rabbit hole, man. Honestly, if I went through sources, what are sources until they're vetted by 5 more independent sources traditionally, and that doesn't happen because people die. So if you get them protected enough and you subpoena the right people and you have enough canaries start singing, you can cut the head off. And here's the thing, man. The NSA leaked this information, okay? They did. It wasn't Seth Rich, although I'm sure he was onto something too, and various other people and whistleblowers, including even Max Spears, have been onto things, man. And they just cut the trail off. They cut the trail off, and then it doesn't matter because now with the internet, it's so spread out. There's so much mirroring being done with websites. So many articles are copied, just straight plagiarized, and people get pissed because it cuts your AdSense dollars down. But you know what? It also spreads the information virally. So there's nothing they can do at this point. All they can do is enable some collapse scenario. I don't know which one they're going to choose. Probably something really stupid. And we got to just be prepared for it.
Do you think the Clintons know or have a suspicion that that's what they found?
Absolutely. She transferred her entire net assets to Qatar, which is really one of the few Muslim countries that would allow a female to be there and be a kingpin and protect her. And she thinks 1.8 billion will do it, and it's not enough. It's not enough.
She did that in the last couple days.
She did that, maybe 3-4 weeks ago, at least, that Qatar transfer of most of the Clinton Foundation's movable assets, to Qatar. So Saudi Arabia is going to be gutted soon. Israel they'll broker some deal with them to make him stop doing crazy shit. And then they'll hunt her down, they'll hunt everyone else down because we came so close to World War III before. We should bridge into Jeffrey Sterling if we can get a chance going. But Nick, I know we have a show agenda, so
really complicated stuff, and we got to wait and see what comes out from these emails that they're digging into, and there is a internal war going on between a lot of these agencies. In fact, I read an article over on the Daily Caller, which is a conservative kind of. I don't know how to call it. It's kind of like a foundation website or something. And anyway, they get a lot of exclusive sources from right-leaning people and officials and stuff. Anyway, they got some people in the FBI saying that some of these FBI agents that were supposed to be destroying laptops and destroying hardware and hard drives and stuff that were involved in the Clinton Foundation, a lot of these guys refused to do it. So, there is a lot of people that are, these bureaucratic agencies, most times they're run by people that are insiders and stuff, but the foot soldiers within these agencies, there's a lot of good people in there, and so I'm sure there's a bunch of people in the FBI that have seen and that have been part of these investigations and that are just like, you know what, this is ridiculous. How are we not, pursuing this more and stuff like that? And so you got a report here from people that are witnesses to what's going on within the FBI saying, yeah, a lot of these agents are refusing to comply with some of the orders that they're being given because they're just not buying it anymore. So, there are still good people that are within these agencies that are, going to be trying to carry out good work. And if it comes down to it, they'll probably have to turn whistleblower,
Nick, these people are human beings and they have families all spread out through the country and the world, and 70% of the U.S. lives on both coasts, and those coasts are extremely vulnerable. And if we did something stupid where Russia felt they had to fire on us, they would obliterate those coasts and everybody. So that's really what I think it's came down to. The pressure from the public of the awareness of people going, listen, she's going to try to install a no-fly zone and then have a female draft, which, by the way, has never been done ever because it eliminates your next generation. I think they realize this is something far beyond a regular Nixon type of president. This is a suicidal, a genocidal type of president.
So going back to the stuff we were talking about with Epstein, those who aren't familiar with Jeffrey Epstein, I highly encourage you to go Google Jeffrey Epstein. He's a billionaire who basically ran a child sex slavery network, and his customers were extremely rich and powerful and influential people. People that are at least have been on the quote unquote Lolita Express, as DB was saying, which is like this plane that they would fly around, and who knows what would go on, but we could assume that this guy's already been convicted of very bad, horrible acts against young children.
There is video apparently, Nick, and it will be leaked because it has to be leaked, unfortunately.
Well, Clinton took how many rides on that plane? 15 or something?
Well, it wasn't only him, man. That's the thing, is many people thought she was just complicit, but she was actually a participant.
Hillary?
Yes.
I mean, I wouldn't put that out of the equation. Who knows? But here's the other thing.
Part of the leaks are Chelsea. What's going to come out is because she's found out. She's basically at this point like, whoa. She's part of the leaks. Watch.
So here's the other thing, too. Trump is also tied in with Epstein, and Trump has been on that same plane that Bill Clinton has been on. In fact, I heard that they were both on it at the same time. Again, these are unsubstantiated things, but things that are yet to be proven that are probably true. So, and Trump is also facing a charge of raping a 13-year-old girl, which also goes back and ties in with Jeffrey Epstein. And the girl claims that this charge stems from time when she was being held captive by Epstein. And Trump is actually... So we got Hillary Clinton under investigation by the FBI at the current time. Who knows how long this investigation is going to play out. It's probably going to be after November 8th. Now, Trump is due to appear in court to go to a hearing about this when he raped a girl that was 13 years old, supposedly. And this is going to happen in December. So, we're in a very, very complicated situation at this point where the two people that are most likely going to be one of the two are going to be elected president, could both be criminally charged by the time that they're supposed to be, taking office. And so these charges against Trump are not light. I mean, this is not some frivolous charge. I mean, we've heard all about the whole Trump, the audio came out where he talks about grabbing women by the pussy and about, doing horrible things. And then a bunch of other people have come out, a bunch of women have come out and accused Trump. But this lawsuit is legit, and he has to show up to this hearing, and so it goes back to Jeffrey Epstein. So, Trump and Clinton both tied in with this guy who, by everything that I can tell, is just the kind of guy that goes around blackmailing powerful and rich people. with getting them with underage women. I think maybe sometimes the people don't know that the women are underage. I think sometimes they do know, but sometimes they don't, and this guy uses that to blackmail people. But both of the people running here are kind of tied in with this Jeffrey Epstein character. Very, very horrible person. I can only talk about him so much because there's so much info out there. But like I was saying, anyone listening tonight, go and research Jeffrey Epstein, because this is the guy you should definitely know about, because he's involved with a lot of powerful politicians, billionaires, and rich people, influential people. And it's a really nasty, dirty thing going on. And, recently in the UK, there's been a bunch of news broken about these pedophile rings going around in the elite circles and stuff like that. And even within the BBC itself, there was pedophilia stuff going on. This is the kind of stuff they've been doing for a really long time. In fact, I think powerful, rich people have been doing this forever, basically. I don't know where they get off on dominating young, kids sexually. It's the most heinous crime, I think, that you can commit on this planet. Besides, maybe
it's partially a cult too, Nick. It's as silly as it sounds. Just as long as if you want to go down the rabbit hole, you find out, because when they're in fear and pain, it makes more energy. And wherever you want to bring that to, whatever level, whatever doctrine or cult rabbit hole you want to follow, that's how these sick-ass individuals think. And they have a lot of money, dude, and they've been doing this for thousands of years. You're right.
Horrible, horrible shit. I'm going to have to change the subject here because this just makes me sick. Sorry, I missed the show. We missed the show last Wednesday. I went and had some like dental surgery done down in Mexico. The procedure went really well, but I was just dealing with like a bunch of pain, and I was on a bunch of painkillers and stuff. But I just wanted to bring this up real quick because I don't have Obamacare because at the time being I can't really afford insurance. Hopefully I'll be able to soon. But I went down into Mexico and went to a pretty well respected doctor, had a oral surgery done for $140, and they did everything, and I got the prescription drugs at the pharmacy for like $30, and this is without insurance, without a premium, without a deductible, without any of that crap. So it's just pretty interesting. I'm kind of lucky to be in a place in the country where I have that option. I mean, I know some people go to Canada to get healthcare done and stuff like that for certain procedures. I know other procedures that are in high demand in Canada, there's like a huge wait because they have that kind of, I think they have like universal healthcare up there, and for some procedures it's like years and years you have to wait to get done. But, very, very interesting that it's just, the prices are just so good down just 10, 15 minutes south of here, and good doctors, good dentists and stuff. But that's why we missed the show on Wednesday. So there's been a lot of things that have gone on since then. I think we've got Claire Bernish on the line. What's up, Claire?
Not much. What's going on?
Hanging in there. So, you've been on the line for a bit. You've been hearing us talk about this election stuff. What's your take? I know you've been following this stuff really closely. And it's almost over. And I'm kind of in this point where I'm in a paradox here where it's like I'm glad that the election is over because I'm sick and tired of people that I have respect for saying how they're going to vote for Trump or for Clinton, because I just know how much of the same that both of these candidates are. At the same time, running a news business, it is kind of nice to have this stuff to talk about. It gives us an unlimited amount of stuff to write about and talk about here on the radio, obviously, and it always makes for an interesting conversation. But Claire, what's your take so far, and with the latest developments and stuff? What do you think is going on?
Well, I think the most striking feature of this election is the fact that we have two very obvious, blatant criminals running for office. And whether or not either of them will be charged or convicted before the election, I mean, that's obviously doubtful considering, what are we, 8 days away or something? I mean, it's stunning. If you compare this time to, say, Watergate, where basically there were recordings and that was pretty much it. If you look at the length and breadth and expansiveness of the corruption that Hillary Clinton has has affected in her entire political career, but particularly for this election alone. And then you look at Trump, who obviously has scammed, countless people out of millions and millions of dollars, and like shortchanged workers and refused to pay and taken people to court. I mean, these two people do not deserve to be running for office at all, let alone like has made it to basically, their party's nomination. I mean, this is ridiculous. At this point, it really doesn't matter who makes it into office. I think that Obama has kind of set in motion a number of things that are going to they're kind of going to keep going of their own volition at this point. But neither one of them offers anything savory for the future at all. I mean, with Hillary Clinton, we're virtually guaranteed to be going to war. With Trump, we're virtually guaranteed to be locked down in a really horrendous police state with, that whole racism and xenophobia element to it. I mean, the way I'm looking at it now is nothing good can possibly happen in the future, so it's kind of like sit back and watch the world burn.
Oh, God. There's one way to look at it. And with Trump, with Clinton, personally, I'm more apprehensive towards Clinton because nobody can really escape the threat of a nuclear holocaust, because that's kind of it'll affect anyone globally, even if you're not directly hit, this kind of radiation and all that crap that goes around with that. Not saying that Clinton is going to go ahead and just start World War III when she gets elected, but the way she talks about foreign policy, I mean, it makes it a very real possibility. Now, again, going back to my personal scenario, Trump, with the election of Trump and him locking down on civil liberties and creating more and more of a police state, and most likely what would be a lot of civil unrest, especially from the minority communities. I could definitely see an upsurgence of Latino.
Do you see a Brave New World? Is that what you were alluding to earlier, Claire, on your post? Like, Trump would be a Brave New World. Pot will be legal. Like, you're going to be able to just get drunk as hell all the time. But, I don't know.
No, that was kind of an honest question. I was asking whether this is, what was it, Idiocracy, Brave New World, or something else. I can't remember now. But, I mean, I think that my fears with Trump they're pretty severe. I mean, Trump, I saw a video today that kind of explained what I experienced at the rally that I went to for Trump. I just went to observe because I was curious at the very beginning of the election cycle. And it was terrifying. I mean, I keep remembering this. Way back before it's gotten so exponential now, but way back then, it was terrifying. I mean, everybody was they were virtually like doing the Heil Hitler sort of salute. And, I didn't say a word to anybody except when I was in line and I tried to be cordial. And when I got inside, people almost attacked me just for filming. That kind of future in this country terrifies me. I mean, I feel that I'm like open to all sorts of different religions and creeds and personalities and everything else, and I don't think there's going to be room for that in a Trump presidency at all. Not to mention his crackdown on the press, which is going to be horrendous too.
But I think here's the thing. I think she's a more clear and present danger because she can get away with so much. Like, he's going to talk a lot and he's going to try to do stuff, but he'll get blocked officially, and then the people are going to be like, dude, we didn't let you in for this shit. We were talking about bringing the jabs back. Like, he's going to get so much crap, and then he'll just get voted out real quick. But she'll be like 8 years of iron fist.
Well, I totally agree there, but the thing is, think of how much President Obama has gotten away with without having fake congressional support. The number of executive orders, the number of unofficial wars he's started. I mean, so both of them are dangerous in that regard. Like, Trump is dangerous domestically and Clinton is dangerous internationally. It's just a matter of what will explode first, whether it's kind of a civil war on the home front or some sort of international war with possible nuclear, inclinations. It's yet to be seen, but nothing looks good.
Very true, because if we were living in a truly constitutional republic country where we had like the rule of law and there was legitimate checks and balances, Trump would come in and he would be checked by both the Republican and the Democratic establishment, and Trump would be a lame duck. But in the age of executive fiat, and looking back at pretty much every empire that's ever existed, especially the ones that started off, as a democracy like Rome and Greece and those old empires, what you see happen towards the end of their existence is that the executive branch starts to aggregate more and more control. And even in Germany with Hitler, it started off as Hitler coming to power democratically, and then he was able to use some kind of emergency, like the attack on the Reichstag, a terror attack they blamed on the communists, to usurp more and more power. I mean, the dangerous thing about Trump is if he comes in as a lame duck, he can run against the Congress and everything really, really strongly, and with his really big loyal.
Bigly? You mean bigly?
His bigly loyal, well-armed, aggressive supporters, could rule through fear, and that's what the Nazis did too. I mean, the Nazis were not the majority when Hitler first became, Chancellor of Germany. He was the Nazis weren't the majority. They were only like around 30% or something like that. But by ruling through fear and intimidation, that's how the Nazis were able to usurp total control over Germany. And this is all hypothetical stuff here, but this is the kind of thing that I think Trump could maybe pull off with the blindness and the nationalism of his supporters and the violence and the aggression, and they're all extremely well armed as well. And you're talking about going up against Democrats who are like,
dude, those guys are tough as fuck.
I mean, there was a civil war between Democrats and Republicans in the United States. I'm pretty sure the Republicans would win because they've got all the guns.
No, they would just throw Starbucks at them.
What worries me is I think that people don't realize how thin our system has left any recourse against a powerful executive branch. I don't think that people quite understand. People still kind of have this illusion that Congress must approve things and these things must happen. But really, if the wrong person comes into power, which I kind of tend to believe Trump might be, when he comes into power, he can use his kind of, I don't want to say charisma, but his followers would say charisma, to kind of garner the masses into his cause, whatever it might be, and he feeds off of their zeal and makes everything worse. And there's very little left in place to keep the executive in check. And he can pretty much just whole-scale turn this into a fascist state. And I know that sounds like fear-mongering, and it's not meant to, but I think it would behoove everybody to kind of pay attention to that.
You're talking about God Emperor Trump scenario where he makes an official military alliance with Russia and then we fight China together.
I think it's more likely that there was any kind of terrorist attack that happened in a post-Trump presidency he would use to lock down complete martial law and do anything he wanted to American Muslims. And there'd be virtually nothing we could do to stop him. And we all saw how draconian everything got after 9/11. Imagine Trump responding to 9/11.
But won't you put your body on the line, Jake? Because I would. Like Manar here, I would put my body in front of her and stop people from fighting with her just because of her religion. I would. And a lot of people would because we're tired of this crap.
That's a good point. I think, Bush and Obama, compared to Trump and Clinton, I think these guys are going to look like dubs. They're going to look like, wow, I can't believe how not horrible Bush was and how not horrible Obama was, even though both have, obviously, Bush lied to, Bush and his administration lied to everybody, got us into a huge war, killed over 1 million people in Iraq, started the war on terror. Obama came in, expanded the war on terror, created this debacle in Libya, created the debacle in Syria, moved us up to this brinkmanship with Russia. As bad as that is, I think Trump or Clinton, either one, would make both Bush and Obama look like wow, those guys were not that bad.
No, because Bush set all of this shit in motion. The trillions of dollars and the millions of lives that have been taken in the Middle East because of a fraudulent war launched by the neoconservatives as part of the Project for a New American Century. That is the reason for a lot of economic problems that are going on, global tensions that are going on, and civil unrest, people being extremely unhappy. And liberals and conservatives alike are still furious about the amount of money and resources we spent in the Middle East. And that anger is still carrying over. And a lot of that Trump, part of this, the Trump SS squad, the anger, a lot of it's about the Second Amendment and stuff like that, but they're also just pissed off about those wars, dude. Like, a lot of people are furious about those wars, and that's what, that's Bush's legacy right there. Obama has continued it. Clinton would continue it. God knows what Trump would do. I think Claire's right, and I think your point goes too, which is that Trump would be able to, his supporters do become a massive cult that, and their charisma and their machismo is almost off the charts, and they do have the temperament to become a fascist regime. I don't think anyone can doubt that. And so, they're both equally terrifying. We're sitting here arguing about, which is scarier, a bullet or a knife. It's a terrible situation. We're just gonna have to figure out a way to
take the knife, Jake.
Take the knife.
We literally have, if you've looked, there are a number of memes going around, but we literally have the Orange Hitler versus Grandma Stalin. It's two different sides of the same coin. They're equally bad. It doesn't really matter who it is because it's going to get terrible very quickly.
You're right. Our only hope is at some point the exponential dissemination of knowledge as the internet grows, as the Internet of Things becomes a big deal, as people become more intelligent with artificial intelligence. We're just going to really have to hope that there is an evolution of consciousness, and people clearly we're not getting out of this thing alive. This is going to get bloody before it gets better, and we all know that we're headed towards something pretty cataclysmic in history right now. But we just have to hope that, at the very least, the people who come out of this in future generations will learn from it. I don't know.
Yeah. Jake and Nick, come inland. Let's buy a farm.
There you go. Like I was saying back when I was talking about Trump and why, personally, to me, it's not as big of a threat. Unfortunately, for many, many Americans, it is. But considering my work situation, I work online, remotely. We're based in San Diego, and only a few of our employees are here. Most people are spread around the country, around the world. I can move to another country, like, say, Norway, where press freedom is like #1 in the world, and I can work there, and I can still run the anti-media, and I can still comment on U.S. news and stuff, and I can escape the wrath of Trump, in theory. With Clinton, in a big giant war scenario, a lot of people would, no matter where you run to, you're not really escaping that. I got this hilarious tweet right here from Hillary Clinton.
Apparently the Hillary team is going crazy on Twitter right now. That's what I heard.
7 hours ago, she posted an update, and I'm on Twitter right now on Hillary Clinton's official Twitter profile. A guide to help you make your choice for president, and it's an article by Slate. The title: How to Choose Between the Most Corrupt, Least Popular Candidates This Election. And it's a picture of her and Trump. She's tweeting out articles calling her the most corrupt candidate.
That just says it all right there. It really does.
Isn't Loretta Lynch isn't she pleading the fifth because she can't tell the truth about what she did in an official job capacity as the Attorney General? Isn't that like double jeopardy on yourself?
Dude, there's so many heads rolling right now. I mean, behind the scenes right now, God knows what's going on, because, like I said, for Comey to have come out and something crazy is going on for him to have said that. I mean, 1 month ago, a month and a half ago, he was saying the investigation's over. And he's going to bring it back up a week before the election? There's no way he would do that unless it was something cataclysmic that's going to unfold. I mean, he's got to be. I mean, I don't know. I can't understand.
Well, the FBI rank and file threatened to mutiny and dump basically all of their data on everybody, which would bring down about 90% of the government. It was going to be something really. It was going to be cataclysmic.
Well, think about this.
And a bunch of people tendered their resignation at the FBI too. Like, a bunch of people were just abandoning ship everywhere. Just like, this is bullshit. I'm out.
And think about this. Under J. Edgar Hoover, the FBI used to be a hyper-political organization. I mean, their job was to blackmail people and get dirt on everybody to, carry out the wishes of the deep state. And that was a long time ago. You think that the FBI, one thing I know about government is that it doesn't fix itself. It doesn't reform itself. The NSA doesn't get created, and it doesn't say, oh shoot, we're spying on too many people. We need to reform ourselves. We need to roll back this surveillance, and we got to stop, doing these practices.
No, it gets
worse.
The
FBI, I mean, government gets worse over time, and the FBI, like you said, DB, I think they've probably got dirt on every single politician out there. So, very situation.
They cover up.
Sorry, Jake.
And then they cover up the puke with more shit.
I was just gonna say, if you really dig into it and read books about it, which are they tend to be ridiculous firsthand accounts of stuff, that they choose politicians because they're susceptible to vices, particularly pedophilia. So they choose them because that's the easiest way to blackmail people. And what you've been seeing recently in articles from stuff like Salon and things is they're trying to normalize pedophilia so they can legalize it somehow. This is the whole crazy spiral they want to go down because there's so many of them in government. And they're going to get uprooted just like in the UK. Now, I don't know what happened in the UK. I think basically in the UK, the government and the military is so intertwined and there's no check and balance because the people are totally unarmed. So even if the government and the military tried to fight and the military's like, we need to basically take these guys down, the people can't help. But that's not the case here. So I think they backed themselves into a corner and bit off more than they can chew for the first time in thousands and thousands of years.
Well, yeah, because they weren't expecting on something. No one was counting, even when the internet first came out and there were these, the elusive, nebulous idea of a hacker. No one counted on something like WikiLeaks coming out, being able to just dump massive data dumps, uncovering all of these things. No one was anticipating like that. It took all of the elites by surprise, and I don't think they have a way to fix it. I don't think they can stop it.
Yeah, I think, this all has to do with like the ebb and flow of information, because throughout history, information has really been what builds and destroys empires and stuff. And, since the invention of the printing press, and read an interesting article a couple of days ago on a libertarian-leaning kind of think tank regarding how the internet is is really the great equalizer here that's freeing up all this information, and it's giving us a real good chance for maybe the first time in history to really, really overturn the oligarchy once and for all. Because, throughout history, information has always been the thing that people in charge would use to control everybody. Whether it was with religion or with the, royalty or, whatever. As long as they can keep people ignorant and have them believe what they want them to believe, well, then they can keep themselves in power. And now WikiLeaks is coming along challenging that entire paradigm. I mean, it's changing everything. And this may be the final blow. I mean, I was talking to my buddy today about just how awful, and how Trump has been really destroying the Republican Party, and how Clinton is just a a complete cannonball on the credibility of the Democratic establishment. I mean, it seems like these two parties are accidentally committing suicide this election. And you know what? In my opinion, that's a good thing for our country. As messed up as it sounds, and as people around the world look, outside observers are looking in, they're like, man, what the hell is going on in the United States? For the people here, it's a good thing, because we need to start breaking through and tearing down this political establishment, the deep state. It needs to be demolished, and maybe we can rebuild something more decentralized with more information based and more broadly educated people that actually know what's going on. Because the baby boomers and all the previous generations, yeah, a lot of those people are well educated, but they're educated in a controlled environment. They're educated with what the propaganda that the people wanted us to learn. And now the internet is breaking through all those barriers, man. And, the stuff coming out from WikiLeaks, if it weren't for the internet, we wouldn't have found out this stuff for 1,000 years. You know what I mean? And so it really is a big equalizer. I want to shift topics here, because the other big story, besides the election, the impending election, I don't know how else to refer to it, man, but it's going to be a real shootout, I think, is what's going on in North Dakota, because these protests are getting huge. And last, what was it, Thursday, I believe it was when the big crackdown happened, Thursday and Friday. Over 100 people arrested, and I mean, from everything I can tell, the water protectors, the Native Americans, are winning. They're getting arrested. I just saw that someone donated $2.5 million to get everyone that was arrested out of jail, and it definitely seems like the Sioux have the upper hand. I wanted to go over to Claire, because I know you've been following this pretty closely. I mean, what do you make of what's going on at Standing Rock?
It's actually really simple. You have a fully militarized police state that's better equipped than even the soldiers who are fighting in wars overseas, standing off against people who actually have legitimate claims to the land. And the police are fighting on behalf of the corporate-backed state. And honestly, in fights, normally there might be some sort of a gray area, but in this particular case, it really doesn't get any clearer who's on the right side. And I mean, to show up with 5 tanks and a bunch of ATVs and, both lethal and non-lethal weapons, and to tase people and to threaten to tase horses and to act out against animals and children and pregnant women. And I mean, if there were any sort of evidence that the state was exploiting the populace and did not give a shit about anybody but profits and industry, this is the perfect example. I mean, we're talking about a pipeline that is slated to go under the Missouri River, and that downstream, there are no less than 18 million people in total who rely on the drinking water for that. And that's not including the watershed. If you look at watershed maps, it's actually a lot more of the populace than just 18 million people. This is just classic U.S. government exploitation of Native Americans in every possible way. It was originally slated to go near Bismarck, North Dakota, but all of the residents of that city said no way, and the government and the industry listened and moved it and tried to put it right north of the reservation lands, Standing Rock Sioux reservation lands, because, of course, it's so much easier to exploit Native Americans, as our government well knows. It's absurd, and it's really disgusting, but also, besides just in North Dakota, you have to consider there are 4 states here. And in those 4 states, the government in each of those states has exercised eminent domain of private property holders everywhere. So the protests are not just, the protests are most vehement in North Dakota, but they're not limited to there. There were 8 arrests in northern Iowa, for instance, for this eminent domain claim and stuff. So this is a huge issue. And it really is all of us versus this overgrown state that's acting on behalf of corporate profits. the oil that flows through this pipeline is not even going to be used to get the U.S. energy independent. It's going to be shipped to foreign lands. So it's absurd in every possible measure.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And, I think it does tie into what's going on in Syria and trying to cut Russia out of Europe. Maybe we can export some of our oil and gas to Europe. Maybe that's what's in the cards, and that's what they're thinking, and that's why Obama isn't doing shit about it, and that's why Clinton has been pretty much silent on it, if not enabling what's going on. And Trump, it has a vested interest in investment in the pipeline, so that's not going to happen.
This is a preview for TPP. Once TPP passes, this kind of stuff will be happening all over the world because corporations will be able to use profit margins as justification to do just about anything.
Oh, man. TP, what were you going to say?
What I was just going to say is there's two key points that people never touch on, and they're 800-pound twin gorillas. One is that theoretically, if we did actually get into a conflict with Russia in Syria, it would potentially spread and block the Strait of Hormuz and then make oil essentially a huge commodity for our military. So we'd have to start producing domestically, and this would really be the only way to do that. So as long as the DAPL is blocked, we cannot and will not fight Russia. So that's a good thing. And that should be probably accented in some way because we simply cannot fight them without our own supply. It just can't happen. Secondly, if there is a leak underneath that river, it leaks into an aquifer that feeds into an underground ocean that feeds Nebraska, Iowa, Kansas, Minnesota, Missouri, about 50% of all the food grown for the U.S. So there you go. How many people is that?
Yeah, that's ridiculous, man. And, one story that I wrote about last week was what Claire was mentioning, eminent domain. This woman in Iowa, I think her name was Cindy Coppola, was arrested on her own farm because basically what happened was the state of Iowa came in and they said, hey, sorry, lady, but we're taking your part of your farmland and we're giving it to the pipeline. And she said, she was like, no, you're not. I'm not okay with that. I don't want this pipeline running through my land. And they said, well, take it up with the courts if you don't like it, because that's what we're doing. And she went, and so far she lost in court. So the pipeline has started construction on her land, on her farm. And her and her friend went out there. And this is an older lady, she's probably in her 60s. She went out and she was like, I had enough. And like in one of the interviews she did with local media, she was crying. She was crying when she saw what these bulldozers were doing to her land, tearing up her land, and she saw the topsoil, all this nice farmland she's got out there in Iowa piled up, and she was crying. She went out there with her friend, and she just went and stood in the way of the trucks. That's what she did, and she was arrested for it. She was arrested for it, and that to me was just one of those stories that just really hits you hard, and it really goes to show, like you said, Claire, it's the corporate state versus pretty much everyone else, whether you're Native American, whether you're a farmer, a person who happens to live in the pathway of this pipeline. It's ridiculous. And I couldn't believe that. And that story went unreported. No mainstream media has covered it yet to this day. I did the research on it when I was writing about it last week. I couldn't believe it. No one's covering it. Jake, I wanted to bring this up to you since I wouldn't call you our go-to tech expert or anything like that, but you definitely are more tech savvy than most. This opposition to the pipeline has been enabled hugely thanks to the internet and to like citizen journalism and alternative media, live streaming, people on the ground, smartphones, internet, and all that stuff. Is this kind of because looking back, like historically, the United States has gotten away with treating Native Americans like shit forever. Ever since Europeans first came to the United States and just started kicking Native Americans off their land, killing them, putting them on reservations. For the longest time, it goes back to what we were talking about with like the embargo of information and how the people in control always had contained the information, and they were able to trick the other people into believing that Native Americans were maybe less than human, or that they didn't deserve to have land like everybody else did. Now that that's changing thanks to the internet, you think that that's what's driving this major opposition to this Dakota Access Pipeline, or how do you think that's all playing into this?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the access to information is making it possible for large groups of people, decentralized groups of people, to mobilize at the same time. So, for example, you mentioned the person who paid $2.5 million to bail out the people imprisoned. I mean, I don't know what kind of technology was used, but the ability to crowdsource that kind of money. I mean, that was probably maybe one person, but the ability to use the internet.
Point. The Sacred Stone Camp, through their, I think they have like a GoFundMe account or something. Last time I checked, they had raised $800,000 for the cause, and then ever since last Thursday, it's now gone up to over $1 million.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, you have these disparate communities all across the country or even world that are able to band together now because of the internet. And, these kinds of the next phase of this will be kind of underground internet networks that cannot be tracked. Private underground internet networks whereby groups will be able to communicate without, organize and plan without having to worry about being intercepted. And Cory Doctorow writes about some of that stuff in his books. But I mean, the internet is a tool, and we have to use the same tools they're using to spy on us and data mine us. We're got to use those tools to flip back on them and inform everyone, because they know damn well that if everyone knows what's going on, the greater good will take over. And I think that's what's happening with this, in the Standing Rock. And I mean, who knows what will happen? Who knows how violent the state will end up reacting? But from the sound of it, they're not going to stop. I mean, I heard an interview with one of the guys there that they're going kamikaze on this. That they view this as,
it's a threat to national security, Jake.
Yeah.
Because we can't have our war with Russia if we don't have our own independent supply to fuel our own jets.
Right. I was talking about the other side. They've dug their heels in and see this as kind of, I don't know. There's just millennia of anger that have built up here, centuries and centuries of anger over the oppression of the Native Americans, and this is just the beginning. I mean, there's going to be such a massive war, kind of. But I don't know. To answer your question about the internet, I mean, absolutely, our technology. Technology is being used to help the good guys right now. There's no question about that.
Hey, just really quick before we run out of time, did you guys know California became a full write-in state, and its 55 electoral votes can go to anybody now?
Vermin Supreme. Just kidding.
Or D's, or whoever, or anybody you want to write in now.
People are writing in Bernie Sanders still, man, and
one
thing we didn't touch on today was that more leaks just came out about how the DNC kept on stacking the deck. The new interim chairwoman was stacking the deck against Bernie Sanders.
Oh, Donna Brazile, yeah.
Donna fleeing to Brazil, you mean?
Yep. And then, Jake, I think this no DAPL stuff, this Dakota Access Pipeline opposition, I see this as a possible turning point. People, this is a very broad spectrum of an alliance. We've been talking about this on this show for a long time, left-right alliance.
Yeah.
It's starting to emerge right now in North Dakota and online. I mean, look at how many people today. I saw a report that 1 million people checked in at Stanford.
I'ma let them know through the stereo. Yo, here we go through the stereo.